Alright, welcome on into a LEGO set review. Today I'm going to be talking about LEGO set 76956, the T-Rex Breakout from Jurassic Park. The set includes 1,212 pieces and retails for $100 US. It's a Target exclusive as far as I'm aware. Having finally gotten the set in the mail and actually putting it together, I can confidently say that this is among my favorite sets I think I have ever received to date. And that's something that shocks me to even say. Was never expecting anything even remotely to this degree of just like love that I feel for this set. Before I even talk about the actual build and everything, I think I need to highlight one very interesting aspect of that I didn't ever think that I'd be talking about, and that's the instruction booklet. Still figuring out the lighting and everything, so you got that glint there. But this design for an instruction booklet was one of the more interesting ones to me, and I appreciated the fact that they went for something slightly unique rather than just showing the set against a black background like they usually do. Not even to say there's anything wrong with that, but it gives it a much more premium feel when it feels almost like a book about Jurassic Park. Another very interesting aspect of this, and I know other sets have this as well, but this is one of the first ones that I've gotten, is that at several points during the building process, you'll get a little blurb on the side highlighting whatever it is that you just constructed, and there's quite a few of those in this booklet. So if you find those interesting, I read through all of them. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I actually built this while watching the film, so I got to see all of this stuff in real time, I suppose. Now, this is an 18 plus diorama set, which means that the focus is primarily on display. And as you can see here, this is kind of the arrangement that they want you to do. I moved it around a little bit, but this is the basic idea, and it's heavily designed in such a way to make setting this up very, very easy. For instance, you've got a small piece right here, which is where you can put Dr. Alan Grant while he's waving his flare about. So if I were to take the Jeep, or the Ford Explorer, sorry, now I just really have Jurassic Park Jeeps on the mind. Now we have it aligned pretty much exactly as they want it. You're not probably going to get the Tyrannosaurus joints in exactly the place that they have it on the box, but this is the best that I can do. Similarly, there are two wedge pieces right here to show you where the car is supposed to be placed. You also have an outline that I'll show you in a bit that pretty much perfectly outlines this smashed car so that you can actually keep it in a perfect spot and it doesn't get moved around. All right, now to talk about certain individual aspects of the set, I think one of the major focuses, and perhaps for some people, kind of the make or break moment for this set, is the Tyrannosaurus. And as far as I can tell, the vast majority of this is pretty incredible. I mean, I just, looking at this kind of fills me with some very childish joy, I suppose. The sculpting on the head is pretty dang good. They've got the eyes facing forward about as well as you possibly can. Of course, the mouth can open and close. You would expect that. There are about 3 ratcheted joints that you can get, or angles, I suppose, that you can get, which is perhaps a tad disappointing, but I think you get the main important ones right. Needs to look like that. Cool. Look straight ahead. Looking up. Okay, fine. Perfectly adequate. The arms leave a bit to be desired, in my opinion. I mean, having just 2 little claws being made out of the clips is a bit strange. And of course, the gray joints is never going to not be disappointing. But they're serviceable. They do their job. The legs, I think, are constructed very, very well. Again, the gray, whatever. The feet, I think, are a tad disappointing here. I think they definitely got the arrangement fairly good. But I don't know. Just the blockiness of the feet is kind of unfortunate. Although it is important to have anti-studs on the back so that you can actually place it and keep it in place on the actual set. I think the tail, excluding the gray coloring, was built about as well as you can expect. I can see where the gaps might be a tad annoying to somebody, but ultimately, I don't think they cause that much of a problem. I think it's just kind of something I expect from LEGO sets. The only other problem I can see is that it's a bit thin here in the middle. But other than that, I really genuinely love this Tyrannosaurus build. And it's really nice to have a solid brick-built Tyrannosaurus that's in reasonable minifigure scale, because the last brick-built Tyrannosaurus, as far as I'm aware, that we got was the giant T-Rex Rampage one, which, well, of course, it had significantly more detail than this. was way more expensive and way less in scale. So yeah, this is nice and a really solid alternative to the molded Tyrannosaurus Rex that you're going to get in any like Jurassic World set. The Ford Explorer is about as perfect as it possibly could have been, I think. I'm sure there are some minor nitpicks that you could give here or there, but honestly, I mean, the actual build of this thing is just stellar. I think that probably all Lego cars should have, at least in the 6-wide style, this kind of design philosophy where they're designed in such a way to fit two minifigures side by side because it works really well. And it's just a little bit unfortunate to have like a bunch of different cars and they're all in the same scale but can fit different numbers of people, even just side by side. You can see kind of here in the front, there are two approximations of glasses of water. This is meant to reference the scene where the Tyrannosaurus is kind of, marching forward and see the ripples in the water. And this is explicitly mentioned in the instruction booklet. I don't think it's a perfect representation, but it is nice to have that little reference, and you can easily remove it if you don't like it. You've got this bubble top here, which again, I think just near perfect in the way that it's put together. Then I put this inside. You can put it anywhere. You've got the little night vision goggles that Tim puts on, again, right before the Tyrannosaurus kills everyone, or almost kills everyone anyhow. Then you've got one of those big old flashlights that, Lex was waving around, and they have them in the back of the cars. So nothing super exciting, but nice to, have so many references just kind of packed in such a tiny vehicle. The sticker application on this was a bit difficult, but actually for the first time I tried the little like Windex method, and I found it surprisingly effective. So if anyone hasn't ever tried that, right, you can spritz a little bit of Windex on the piece, and then use that to basically allow you to position the sticker. You can see there's some minor mistakes that I did in the stickering that I'll probably order a replacement sheet for that. But otherwise, yeah, very pretty. These are actually printed, very nice. And overall, I absolutely love the design of this vehicle. Onto the smashed Jurassic Park Ford Explorer XLT. This one is a little bit disappointing just because it is built entirely upside down, which basically means that you don't actually have the pieces to build another one of these included in the set. The major problem being these printed hubcap pieces, basically, because it includes 3 of them, but because one of the tires is ripped off, you don't actually get the 4th. I think that they probably should have included one extra piece in order to simulate that, because other than that, I think all of the other pieces are available. You could probably order them off of Lego Shop and Home or like off of Bricklink or something. So yeah, that was absolutely a disappointment. However, I think the design of this is really, really solid, and it really well approximates, kind of the smashed car, and then having the Tyrannosaurus standing on top of it, I think is a very, very decent look. So I appreciate it from that perspective. Moving on right here, you can see kind of the outline that you construct as you're building it to allow this to kind of slot into place there. Kids are a bit in the way, but you can see how this works. I'm pretty impressed with this because it doesn't look like it's going to be used for that until it actually is. And I wasn't particularly paying attention to what it was going to look like until I got to this point. So I have to say, I respected that. You've got the track running through here because it's like it's a theme park ride, right? You've also got this is specifically a spot placed here so that you know where to put the Tyrannosaurus foot. Same as this part right here, so that everything is basically as easy as possible to place into the diorama. You've also got a spot for Lex and Tim, respectively, I believe. This gives you kind of a view of the background and the kind of foliage that's going on behind here. You can kind of see the chain where the goat was attached, which is, again, just kind of a minor reference. No goat included, nothing like that, but whatever. This is our electric fence. You've got a couple of these little pieces here that are stickered that basically, warn you of the high voltage, as well as some no feeding flash photography or yelling signs here. I think the foliage in certain parts is pretty good. I think that these pieces here work very well. The little trees that are just kind of mirrored on the sides are good. I don't love how they use just a 1x6 kind of tile piece in dark green to approximate this. I think that they haven't really perfected kind of the molding of the regular foliage pieces with regular system bricks. And it shows a little bit here, but honestly, it's two spots and doesn't detract from the look enough to actually like upset me about it at all. We've got this kind of black border running around the whole thing, where you've got the regular Lego logo, followed by a Jurassic Park logo, followed by a quote from Ian Malcolm, "Boy, do I hate being right all the time," which is perhaps one of his less iconic quotes from the film, but I think it pretty well encapsulates what's going on in this particular scene. Moving on to discussing the figures, first we have Dr. Alan Grant here with his singular flare piece. He's also got his fedora there, and I don't really have the ability to capture the detail as well as I'd like, but the face has some kind of water on it and an angry expression, and then his shirt also has some, basically some rain on it. I actually really appreciate all of the figures in this set for their kind of unconventional appearances, because it allows you to use these if you were to make like a custom figure with it, characters having water on their face, right? I think that's very nice. Grant does not have an alternate face, which I think you can expect because he's got his fedora, of course. However, he does have an alternate hairpiece included, which I think works fairly well for this. Not anything super exciting. It's a hairpiece that you may well have seen a fair few times, but at least it's not the Captain America hair, because that would have been fairly disappointing because I get that way too often. Second, we have Dr. Ian Malcolm, again with a singular flare, which is built using the candlestick piece and then a minion hair tuft, I think it is, in the translucent red, which I think works fairly well for this. Again, no leg printing. For the first time ever, we've got him with his jacket zipped up instead of, seeing his chest and stomach in all its glory. I really, really do like this figure. He has an angry expression here, which again, I don't think is going to be super visible, unfortunately. Still figuring that out. But then we've got this alternate expression, which is more of a worried look, and that's kind of what it looks like with the hair on. So yeah, very nice to have another Jeff Goldblum. I'm sure a lot of people would agree with that. Next up, we have Lex, which I think that the children are probably the most disappointing part of this set, but they're by no means failures of any kind. We've got her hair completely covered in mud, as well as most of her torso, her legs, and her right arm, which I think was kind of a funny solution to that, but all right. She's got a worried expression, and then she's got a happy expression as her alternate face, unlike Dr. Malcolm, which I thought was kind of funny. I guess, I don't know, she's excited to have survived nearly being devoured by a Tyrannosaurus. Who knows? And finally, for our fourth figure in the set, perhaps the weakest of them all, is Tim. Again, he's covered in mud, got a worried expression on his face, this like Luke Skywalker hair. I believe this is exactly the same color. I probably should have compared it, but I don't even really care all that much. And then, again, a happy expression. So a little bit surprising that they actually went that route, but I do think it's nice. I think, again, having figures with muddy clothes or mud-covered faces is super nice if you want to, just take your like customization to the next level. And I think this is one of my first sets where, unless this was intentional, I don't know, maybe I could have checked the parts catalog, I got an extra of Tim's hairpiece. And I don't know why that is, but I found it kind of interesting. It's not a super useful piece. You can get it fairly easily, so it's not like if I got, an extra fedora or something, that would have been real nice. But you know what? Can't really be disappointed, since it was probably a free piece of plastic that I did not need. So yeah, all in all, this is probably one of my favorite sets that I've gotten before. One of the very few $100+ sets where I bought it full price and felt comfortable with that price. Significantly larger than I was expecting. Of course, I could have probably checked the dimensions, although the dimensions do include the Tyrannosaurus tail and the bumper of this XLT for some reason. So you don't actually see how long it is. You see how long it is plus like a tail sticking out, which was a bit silly, but I suppose makes sense if you're trying to figure out your shelf space. This is a worthy inclusion to the diorama sets, and it is absolutely going to go alongside the rest of the sets that I have in this line and that I will be collecting in the future, because I absolutely adore everything that this sets out to be. I think it accomplishes pretty much everything that it's trying to, and it's just very pleasing, which is an annoying word to use, but I hope you catch my meaning. So yeah, with that, I'll close this one out. Again, a lot of this is more of an audio and visual like test for me. I'm trying to figure out my equipment. So I don't know if anyone has any tips or any criticisms or whatever. I totally appreciate it because I'm literally just figuring this out all myself. So yeah, appreciate that. Anyhow, potentially see you in the future at some nondescript point in time.